run into Al Simmons here, who's the founder of Mustang Seats, an incredible seat company. And you know, a lot of us that are in the motorcycle industry really started in the dirt or on the track or whatever, and Al's no different. And what he did was recognize a need back in the early 70s, and later on launched a company called Mustang Seats in the 80s, and now serving the industry for 32 years. Al Simmons is an industry icon, and we're here today to talk to him. So Al, listen, you know, great seat products, and I've watched you for years, but one of the things that I've noticed about you guys is there's a lot of history of the company. So talk to us a little bit about that and what brought you into this.
Well, John, my brother and I were both motorcycle riders back in the late 60s and going into the early 70s. We were dirt competitors, and I went to school to be an engineer and just couldn't sit still. I had an opportunity to get out and take a job selling motorcycle accessories. You know, in 1971, it was really the start of the whole chopper era, and seats were something that everyone changed. They changed for looks, and I was part of that. And I grew up with another company selling seats and then working with the design of seats as well. That company unfortunately broke up, but when that happened, I had a chance to start my own business, which was work, certainly not easy at first, and that was in 1980. And at that point, you know, seats started to change, and we went more after the comfort than the style. And we've followed that route, so Mustang is now known as the world's most comfortable motorcycle seat.
We all know that FL market and those other big touring bikes and the longer rides are prevalent, and comfort and ergonomics is a factor. You led it way back then, and now you're coming back to it. I mean, they're coming to you more for that, but you guys have recognized a new need, and I know some of these new seats, like I see on the wall back here, are kind of catering to that younger demographic. So talk to me about the younger demographic and how it's affecting Mustang's look at the market.
Well, you know, like all of our customers, we've grown older. The customers have been looking for more and more comfort. We've been adding things to the seats like heat and softer, wider foams, maybe more room on it. But you know, we want to feed the market from the bottom, and you know, it looks as though, like a lot of things, we're going to come around to the roots again. And that whole chopper thing began as taking motorcycles and removing parts. You know, in the early 70s, that's when folks were coming back from Vietnam, and they were buying motorcycles, and whether it be a 450 Honda or a Triumph, they were putting hardtails on them, they were taking parts off of them. They were basically just bobbing them and chopping them down. Then we got into fancier choppers, bikes that had a lot more money into them. But these younger people just aren't in a position to spend the kind of money that full custom motorcycles have been costing. And I've seen a number of folks in our area that have taken very inexpensive motorcycles, removed parts off of them, and built their own little bobbers, and had a cute little motorcycle, whether it be an older Honda or a Yamaha or even a Harley. But you could take something like a 500 Honda or maybe some Kawasaki and two-cylinder bike and strip it down. We've come out with a seat that we call our Cyclone Solo. We've adapted it with a mounting system to later model Harleys, but it's going to be ideal to go on some of these older bikes. It'll add a little comfort to a chopped down bobber. You want to get someone who's young into the motorcycle riding thing, then let him do it for about $1,000. If he can buy an old bike for 500 bucks, spend $500 on it, hopefully the next time he's going to end up with a $5,000 bike, but he has to start somewhere. And I think we're going to feed this whole lifeblood back into the motorcycle riding world by taking young people and giving them an opportunity to change things and change them economically.
One of the things that we've talked about as Americans is holding true to supporting the United States, and you have done that from the beginning. You still do. So talk to us about the handcrafted nature of your seats and where you're building them.
Well, you know, Mustang has done a great job of keeping their product as a United States made in America product. We're up in Massachusetts, just outside of Springfield, Massachusetts, where the Indian motorcycles were made, and that whole area of New England was known for shoe craftsmen and other handmade items, and that shoe industry has of course gone to China by now, but these same people can handcraft a motorcycle seat, and we're very proud of how we make our seats. Our employees are all told that every seat that comes off our line has to be good enough that they take it home and put it on their own personal motorcycle. There are no seconds, there's no room for any product flaws at Mustang. It'll go right back into the line and get taken apart and fixed. So we make a great product, and we make it right there in Massachusetts.
So Al, tell me what you think we need to do as an industry to draw or feed that new younger demographic so we can continue to satisfy those burgeoning needs.
Well, I'll tell you, the first new motorcycle I ever bought cost me under $1,000, and it was a BSA. And I've had older motorcycles, and used to be you could buy a used motorcycle for $100 or $200. You know, prices of course have gone up on everything, but I think we've got to make better use of all these older bikes that are out there sitting in people's barns, the cheap rides. You know, it's one thing to spend a few $1,000s and buy a good bike, but we need a lot of people riding a lot of motorcycles. Once they get the fever, then I'm sure they're going to spend more and become lifelong motorcyclists like the rest of us.
And you and I know a guy really well that's got a huge collection of old bikes that are waiting to be restored, in John Parham. And you know, that's a commitment to this industry that, you know, guys like Al and John have made to supporting it and making opportunities to grow this industry in an unselfish way. And I think that's a great give back. And you know what, the innovation you guys continue to supply and the commitment that you make to America and not sacrificing that for the dollar is what really makes you great. And again, that's what builds an American icon in this motorcycle industry and keeps on driving the tradition that is ours today.